the Knights Templar. They were a medieval Catholic military order, officially known as the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, founded in the year 1119. Their primary purpose was to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, particularly Jerusalem, after it was captured during the First Crusade. Over time, the Templars evolved into one of the most powerful and influential organizations in medieval Europe, both militarily and economically. The order was founded by a group of 9 knights led by Hugh de Payens, a French nobleman. They initially took monastic vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, dedicating their lives to protecting pilgrims. The group received the endorsement of the Catholic Church in 1129 at the Council of Troyes, under the guidance of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux. Their headquarters were established on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, which is why they became known as the Templars. The Knights Templar had a hierarchical structure, with a Grand Master at the top, followed by other high-ranking officials such as marshals, commanders, and seneschals. Each member took vows similar to those of monks and lived in communal environments, although they were active in battle. The Knights Templar quickly became known for their prowess in battle. They played a major role in several key conflicts during the Crusades, defending Christian territories and fortifications and leading military campaigns against Muslim forces. Their discipline and organization made them one of the most feared military units of the time. The order's downfall began in the early 14th century. By this time, the Christian Crusader states in the Holy Land had fallen, diminishing the Templars' military relevance. Their enormous wealth and independence made them a target of envy and suspicion. King Philip IV of France, deeply in debt to the Templars, saw an opportunity to destroy the order and seize its wealth. In 1307, he launched a coordinated arrest of the Templar leadership across France, accusing them of heresy, blasphemy, and various immoral acts. Under torture, many Templars confessed to these charges. Though historians believe these confessions were coerced, Pope Clement V, under pressure from Philip, officially disbanded the order in 1312 through the papal bull Vox in Excelso. Many of the Templars were executed, including Grand Master Jacques de Molay, who was burned at the stake in 1314. Despite their dissolution, the Knights Templar left a lasting legacy. Their military and financial innovations influenced future orders and systems. Over time, the Templars have become the subject of numerous legends and conspiracy theories. These include claims that they discovered secret religious artifacts, such as the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or other treasures hidden under the Temple Mount. Sufi orders. These are organized groups in Islam that focus on Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam. Sufism emphasizes the inner, spiritual journey toward God through love, devotion, and self-discipline. These orders are centered around a spiritual leader, or guide called a sheikh, who leads followers along the path of spiritual development. One major Sufi order is the Qadariyya. This order was founded by Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. The Qadariyya order is one of the oldest and most widespread Sufi orders. Founded in Baghdad, it emphasizes asceticism, adherence to Islamic law, and a deep commitment to the love of God. Followers of the Qadariyya engage in practices such as dhikr, the remembrance of God and prayer. The teachings of Abdul Qadir al-Jilani focus on inner purity, humility, and devotion, with a strong emphasis on the direct, personal experience of God. This order spread across the Islamic world, from the Middle East to Africa and Asia, influencing numerous other Sufi movements and sects. Another major Sufi order is the Mevlevi, founded by Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi, the Persian mystic and poet. The order is famous for its unique ritual, the Sema, a whirling dance performed as a form of meditation and devotion to God. This practice symbolizes the soul's ascent toward divine truth and the spiritual journey. Rumi's poetry and philosophy, emphasizing love as the central element of the universe, form the core of the Mevlevi order's teachings. The Mevlevi order became one of the most influential Sufi groups in the Ottoman Empire and remains widely respected for its spiritual and cultural contributions, particularly through Rumi's teachings. These orders have spread across the Islamic world and influenced Islamic culture, spirituality, and even politics. With many adherents in regions such as North Africa, Turkey, Iran, and South Asia, the teachings of Sufi orders have had a lasting impact on Islamic mysticism, literature, and art. The Brethren of Purity. This was a secretive, esoteric society of Muslim philosophers who flourished in Basra, Iraq, during the 10th century. They are most famous for their influential work, the Epistles of the Brethren of Purity, a 52-volume encyclopedia that covers a wide range of subjects, from philosophy, religion, and ethics to mathematics, astronomy, and the natural sciences. Their goal was to harmonize Islamic teachings with Greek philosophy, particularly the ideas of Plato, Aristotle, and Pythagoras, along with other wisdom traditions from Persian, Indian, and Christian sources. The Brethren of Purity believed that true knowledge and enlightenment could only be achieved by combining religious faith with philosophical reasoning and scientific investigation. Their teachings aimed to provide a comprehensive understanding of the world, both spiritually and materially, in order to purify the soul and bring it closer to God. They emphasized the unity of all human beings, advocating for a universal brotherhood that transcended religious, ethnic, and social differences. They were also influenced by Neoplatonic ideas, particularly the concept of the one God as the source of all existence, from whom all things emanate. They advocated for a balanced approach that integrated Islamic theology with philosophy and science. They believed that reason and revelation were complementary paths to understanding the divine truth. They developed a hierarchical cosmology known as the Great Chain of Being, where everything in the universe was interconnected, from the lowest material forms to the highest spiritual entities. This cosmology reflected the interdependence of all things, from minerals and plants to animals, humans, angels, and ultimately God. Like other esoteric groups of the time, the Brethren operated, keeping their teachings hidden from the general public and distributing their writings only to a select group of initiates. They believed that true knowledge should be reserved for those who were spiritually ready to receive it. The Brethren of Purity declined due to their secretive nature, limiting their influence to a small intellectual elite, along with the political instability of the time, especially the decline of the Abbasid Caliphate. The Bogomils. They were a Christian dualist sect that emerged in the 10th century in Bulgaria, likely named after their founder, a priest called Bogomil, which translates to friend of God. Their teachings combined elements of Gnosticism, Manichaeism, and early Christian beliefs, forming a unique spiritual system that rejected both the institutional church and the material world. The Bogomils believed in a dualistic cosmology, where the universe was divided between two opposing forces, God and Satan. They taught that God created the spiritual world, while Satan created the physical world, which they regarded as inherently corrupt. As a result, they viewed the material body and the physical world as prisons for the soul. Salvation, in their view, was achieved by renouncing the material world and living a life of asceticism and spiritual purity. The Bogomils preached a life of moral and ethical purity, which included pacifism, vegetarianism, and celibacy for the most devoted members. They emphasized the importance of spiritual over material wealth and rejected the authority of both the state and the institutional church. The movement spread throughout the Balkans and into Byzantium, gaining followers among peasants and the lower classes who were disillusioned with the wealth and corruption of the official church. Due to their radical beliefs and rejection of ecclesiastical authority, the Bogomils were persecuted by both the Byzantine Empire and the Bulgarian Tsars, the Cathars. This group was deeply influenced by earlier dualist movements like the Bogomils. Much like the Bogomils, the Cathars believed in a strict dualism, where a good spiritual God created the soul, and an evil force, often associated with Satan, was responsible for the material world. However, the Cathars developed their own distinct traits. Unlike the more localized Bogomils, the Cathars spread widely across southern France and gained significant political and social influence. They formed a structured community with an elite class known as the Perfects, who lived in strict asceticism, practicing celibacy, vegetarianism, and rejecting material wealth. Ordinary believers, while not held to such high standards, still strove to emulate these ideals. The Cathars also believed in reincarnation, which set them apart from many other Christian heresies. They taught that souls were trapped in the material world through a cycle of rebirth until they achieved purity, escaping the cycle and returning to the spiritual realm. This belief in spiritual liberation through multiple lives gave their doctrine a unique emphasis on personal purity and moral discipline. The Albigensian Crusade, a brutal campaign launched by the Catholic Church, ultimately crushed the Cathar movement, the Assassins. They were officially called the Nizari Ismailis, a breakaway faction of Shia Islam. Hassan I-Sabbah embraced the esoteric teachings of Ismailism early in life. He believed that divine truth could only be understood through a hidden, mystical interpretation of Islam. Charismatic and determined, he set out to establish a stronghold for his vision, seized control of the remote mountain fortress of Alamut, a seemingly impregnable stronghold in the mountains of northern Persia. This would become the heart of the Nizari Ismaili state. The Assassins, as they became known to outsiders, employed targeted political killings to eliminate their enemies, powerful Sunni rulers, military commanders, and religious leaders who opposed their cause. For nearly 2 centuries, the Assassins held sway over parts of Persia and Syria, operating in the shadows and striking fear into the hearts of kings, sultans, and caliphs alike. But their unique form of warfare, based on secrecy and terror, eventually faced a foe they could not overcome, the Mongols. Hulagu Khan, a grandson of Genghis Khan, launched a brutal campaign that led to the siege of Alamut. Despite the fortress's defenses, it fell to the overwhelming force of the Mongol army, and the Nizari Ismaili state was dismantled. Centuries later, the Assassins would inspire stories of clandestine brotherhoods, conspiracy, and secret warfare, especially in the popular video game series Assassin's Creed, which drew on the myths and history of the Nizari Ismailis. The Adamites. They were a heretical Christian sect with Gnostic influences that emerged in different periods of history, notably during the early Christian era and again in the Middle Ages. They believed in living in a state of purity and innocence, seeking to return to the conditions of the Garden of Eden. This included rejecting social conventions like marriage and property, and in some cases practicing rituals in the nude as a symbol of their Edenic state, free from sin. The Adamites held dualist beliefs, seeing the material world as corrupt, and focused on spiritual purity. They were often condemned by mainstream Christian authorities for their radical practices and views, and their communities were periodically suppressed due to accusations of immorality and heresy. The Illuminati. This is one of the most famous and controversial secret societies, often associated with conspiracy theories and clandestine global influence. It was founded on May 1, 1776, in Bavaria, now part of Germany, by Adam Weishaupt, a professor of law. Originally called the Order of the Illuminati, it was established as a secret society aiming to promote Enlightenment ideals and challenge religious and political oppression. Weishaupt's vision was to create a network of like-minded individuals who could influence society through reason and secularism. The order sought to advance knowledge, individual freedom, and reform against the religious and political constraints of the time. The original Illuminati promoted principles of rationalism, secularism, and the pursuit of knowledge. It was opposed to the influence of the church and the autocratic power of monarchies, advocating for a more enlightened and egalitarian society. In modern times, the term Illuminati is often used to refer to a supposed elite group that allegedly manipulates global events from behind the scenes. These theories suggest that the Illuminati seeks world domination and control over political and financial systems, though these claims are not supported by evidence. In its early days, the Illuminati engaged in covert meetings and used secret codes and rituals to promote its ideas among influential members of society. The group sought to recruit influential individuals in various sectors to advance its goals. The Illuminati was suppressed and disbanded by the Bavarian government in 1785, just 9 years after its founding. The suppression was driven by fears that the society was involved in subversive activities and conspiracies. Despite its brief existence, the Illuminati has become a central figure in numerous conspiracy theories. These theories often portray the group as a shadowy organization controlling global events. The enduring allure of the Illuminati in popular culture reflects widespread fascination with hidden power and secret societies. The Priory of Sion. This is a purported secret society that gained widespread attention due to its inclusion in various conspiracy theories in popular culture, particularly through the book Da Vinci Code. Although its origins are shrouded in mystery and controversy, according to the most widely accepted account, the Priory of Sion was allegedly founded in 1956 by Pierre Plantard, a Frenchman with a penchant for mysticism and conspiracy theories. Plantard claimed that the society had ancient roots, tracing back to the medieval period or even earlier. Much of what is known about the Priory of Sion comes from documents and books created by Plantard and his associates, which have been largely discredited as fabrications. These documents, known as the Dossier's Secrets, claimed that the Priory had been founded in the 11th century to protect the bloodline of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. The Priory of Sion's main belief is that the bloodline of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene survived and was secretly preserved by the society. This belief is often linked to the idea that the descendants of this bloodline are rightful rulers or possess special knowledge. The Priory is also said to be dedicated to preserving ancient secrets and esoteric knowledge, including mystical and spiritual insights related to the supposed divine bloodline, Freemasonry. This is one of the oldest and most mysterious secret societies, with roots dating back to the late 16th or early 17th century. It likely evolved from medieval stonemason guilds, which were groups of skilled craftsmen who built Europe's great cathedrals. In 1717, the first Grand Lodge was established in London, marking the formal organization of Freemasonry. Freemasons believe in a supreme being, often referred to as the great architect of the universe. They emphasize moral integrity, personal development, and the brotherhood of all people. Their teachings, conveyed through symbolic rituals and allegory, focus on living a virtuous life, promoting charity, and seeking truth. Freemasons meet in local lodges to conduct rituals, discuss moral and philosophical topics, and engage in charitable activities. Freemasonry is known for its secrecy and elaborate rituals, which have fueled numerous conspiracy theories over the years. The society's symbolic practices and exclusive nature contribute to its enduring mystique. Freemasonry continues to thrive today, with millions of members worldwide. Despite the secrecy, it remains a community dedicated to self-improvement, charity, and the preservation of its rich traditions. The Thule Society. This is an influential organization that emerged in the chaos of post-World War I Germany. Founded in 1918, it began as an occultist and nationalist group named after the mythical northern land of Thule, which was believed to be the ancient homeland of the Aryan race. This society was deeply rooted in a blend of esoteric beliefs, ancient Nordic mythology, and extreme nationalist ideologies. The Thule Society was more than just a group of mystics, it was a breeding ground for dangerous ideas. The members believed in the superiority of the Aryan race and saw themselves as the torchbearers of an ancient and pure lineage. They were obsessed with the idea of an Aryan utopia, a mystical land of power and purity that had to be reclaimed both spiritually and politically. The society's belief system was a bizarre mix of occultism, anti-Semitism, and Germanic folklore. They delved into esoteric studies, convinced that hidden knowledge could unlock powers to restore Germany to its perceived former glory. The society's members included prominent figures who would later become key players in the Nazi movement, including Rudolf Hess, who would become Adolf Hitler's deputy. The Thule Society provided a fertile ground for the early development of Nazi ideology, particularly its racist and nationalist elements. Although it was disbanded in the early 1920s, the society's activities were a strange blend of political agitation and occult rituals. The Rosicrucians. The Rosicrucians are a mystical and philosophical movement that emerged in the early 17th century, known for blending esoteric knowledge, alchemy, and spiritual enlightenment. They first came to public attention through a series of anonymous manifestos, which described the existence of a secret brotherhood founded by a mysterious figure named Christian Rosicrucians. According to legend, Rosicrucians traveled through the Middle East and North Africa, gathering hidden wisdom, and later established the Rosicrucian Order to preserve this knowledge. Rosicrucians seek spiritual enlightenment through the study of esoteric traditions such as alchemy, astrology, and Kabbalah. They believe in a universal truth that transcends religions and aim to achieve personal transformation and harmony with the divine, nature, and the cosmos. Historically, they were thought to operate in secret, discussing their teachings in private gatherings and spreading their ideas through symbolic writings. Today, organizations like the ancient mystical order Rosicrucians claim to continue the Rosicrucian tradition, focusing on the study of mysticism and spiritual science. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Commonly known as the Golden Dawn, was a secret society founded in London in 1887 by three Freemasons, William Robert Woodman, William Wynne Winscott, and Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers. It is one of the most influential organizations in the development of Western occultism and modern magic. The Golden Dawn was dedicated to the study and practice of the occult, metaphysics, and paranormal activities. Its teachings were a blend of various esoteric traditions, including Hermeticism, Kabbalah, astrology, alchemy, tarot, and geomancy. Members progressed through a series of grades, each representing a deeper level of mystical knowledge and spiritual development. Members of the Golden Dawn engaged in elaborate rituals, meditation, and magical practices designed to achieve personal transformation and spiritual enlightenment. The order placed a strong emphasis on the use of symbols and ritual magic to connect with divine forces and to bring about changes in the material and spiritual worlds. It also influenced many later occultists and magical societies, including notable figures like Aleister Crowley and Israel Regardie. The original Golden Dawn disbanded in the early 20th century due to internal conflicts, but its teachings and rituals have continued to influence modern esoteric and magical traditions. The Solar Temple. The Order of the Solar Temple was a secretive and apocalyptic cult that gained notoriety in the 1990s for its tragic end in a series of mass suicides and murders. The group was founded in 1984 by Joseph the Mambro and Luc Charette, who combined elements of Christian mysticism, New Age beliefs, and conspiracy theories. The Solar Temple was inspired by the Knights Templar and claimed to continue the Templar tradition, but with a focus on spiritual enlightenment and preparation for the end of the world. The Mambro and Charette envisioned a coming apocalypse and believed that they and their followers were destined to survive it and achieve spiritual rebirth on a new planet orbiting the star Sirius. Members of the Solar Temple engaged in secret rituals, which included elements borrowed from Freemasonry, the occult, and Christian symbolism. They were also required to make significant financial contributions to the order. The group was known for its lavish ceremonies, which often took place in grand, temple-like settings. The most disturbing aspect of the Solar Temple was its end. Between 1994 and 1997, a series of mass suicides and murders occurred in Switzerland, Canada, and France, resulting in the deaths of 74 members, including the Mambro and Charette. The events were part of what the leaders described as a transit to a new spiritual existence, but they are widely regarded as orchestrated acts of murder and suicide. The Solar Temple no longer exists, but its legacy remains as a grim reminder of how charismatic leadership and apocalyptic beliefs can lead to tragic outcomes. Skull and Bones. This is one of the most enigmatic and elite secret societies in the United States, founded in 1832 at Yale University. The society was established by William Huntington Russell and Alphonso Taft as a way to bring together a select group of influential students. The society is known for its exclusivity, admitting only 15 new members, known as Bonesmen, each year. Membership is typically offered to Yale seniors who are seen as future leaders in various fields, including politics, business, and law. Over the years, many Bonesmen have gone on to hold significant positions of power, including U.S. presidents, senators, and Supreme Court justices. Skull and Bones is notorious for its secrecy. The society conducts its meetings in a windowless building known as the Tomb on the Yale campus. Inside, members participate in mysterious rituals, many of which are rumored to involve bizarre oaths, symbolic gestures, and elaborate ceremonies that have fueled countless conspiracy theories. One of the most peculiar aspects of Skull and Bones is the level of influence its members are said to wield. Conspiracy theories suggest that Bonesmen are part of a shadowy network that controls key institutions and shapes global events. While these theories remain unproven, the society's reputation for producing powerful and influential alumni keeps the myth alive. The Essenes. They were an ancient Jewish mystical sect that flourished during the Second Temple period, around the 2nd century BCE to the 1st century CE. Known for their ascetic lifestyle, communal living, and devotion to spiritual purity, the Essenes separated themselves from mainstream Jewish society to preserve their way of life. They sought to follow divine laws strictly, rejecting what they saw as the corruption of the Jewish priesthood and the political interference of the Roman Empire. Historical accounts of the Essenes come from ancient historians like Flavius Josephus, Philo of Alexandria, and Pliny the Elder. Members shared all possessions and resources, creating a society built on equality and mutual support. Their daily lives were marked by simplicity. They followed a vegetarian diet, abstained from animal sacrifices, and consumed only natural foods. Strict rules of ritual purity governed their actions, including frequent ritual baths and a careful separation from outsiders to avoid defilement. For the Essenes, maintaining physical and spiritual cleanliness was a vital part of their religious devotion. The Essenes were also deeply committed to the study of sacred texts, particularly the Torah. They believed in uncovering the hidden mystical meanings within the scriptures, seeking divine revelations to guide their lives. One of the most fascinating connections to the Essenes comes from the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Found in the mid-20th century in the Qumran caves near the Dead Sea, these scrolls are believed to have been written or preserved by the Essenes. The scrolls include biblical texts, apocryphal works, and detailed writings about the rules and beliefs of their community. They offer a rare glimpse into the mystical and apocalyptic worldview of the Essenes, revealing their focus on divine judgment and the coming of a messianic age. The Essenes' influence can also be seen in early Christianity. Some scholars suggest that John the Baptist, with his ascetic lifestyle and emphasis on baptism, may have been connected to the Essenes. Others note similarities between Essene teachings and the messages attributed to Jesus, such as communal living, humility, and spiritual purity. The Ordo Templi Orientis. This is a mystical and occult organization founded in the early 20th century. Initially inspired by the traditions of Freemasonry, Hermeticism, and Rosicrucianism, it later evolved into a Thelemic order under the influence of Aleister Crowley, one of its most prominent members. The O.T.O is rooted in the philosophy of Thelema, which centers on the maxim, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." This phrase encapsulates their belief in the pursuit of one's true will. The O.T.O is structured around a series of initiatory degrees, each designed to guide members through stages of self-discovery, spiritual awakening, and mastery of esoteric knowledge. These degrees incorporate elements of ritual magic, meditation, and symbolic teachings aimed at unlocking the initiate's inner potential. The rituals themselves are heavily influenced by Hermetic and Kabbalistic traditions, often drawing on astrological and alchemical principles to deepen the practitioner's connection to the cosmos. The order also emphasizes the practice of sexual magic, which it views as a powerful tool for achieving spiritual enlightenment and manifesting the practitioner's will. But for its adherents, it represents the sacred union of physical and spiritual energies in the quest for higher knowledge. The Order of the Star in the East. This was a mystical organization founded in 1911 under the guidance of the Theosophical Society. Its primary purpose was to prepare humanity for the arrival of a world teacher, a spiritual figure believed to embody divine wisdom and lead humanity toward enlightenment. This idea was central to the Theosophical vision, which sought to unite Eastern and Western spiritual traditions in a quest for universal truth. The order was closely associated with Jiddu Krishnamurti, a young Indian boy identified by prominent theosophists as the future world teacher. Annie Besant and Charles Webster Leadbeater, key figures in the Theosophical movement, believed Krishnamurti was the chosen vessel for this divine mission. The Order of the Star in the East was established as a global platform to spread awareness of the world teacher's coming. Members of the order were encouraged to explore the teachings of theosophy, practice meditation, and cultivate virtues such as love, compassion, and wisdom. The organization emphasized unity beyond religious, cultural, or national boundaries, aiming to inspire a global spiritual awakening. They saw the coming world teacher as a beacon of hope, destined to guide humanity through a transformative era. However, the order's journey took an unexpected turn in 1929 when Krishnamurti publicly dissolved it. Declaring that truth could not be confined to any organization, religion, or teacher, he rejected the role of the world teacher and chose to embark on an independent path. His decision shocked the theosophical community and marked the end of the Order of the Star in the East. Yet, Krishnamurti's teachings would go on to influence countless seekers of truth around the world, focusing on self-inquiry, freedom from authority, and the direct experience of the divine. The Martinist Order. This is a mystical and esoteric Christian tradition that traces its roots to the teachings of Louis-Claude de Saint Martin, an 18th century French mystic and philosopher. Often referred to as the unknown philosopher, Saint Martin sought to guide humanity back to its divine origins through spiritual transformation, introspection, and communion with the divine. The Martinist Order emerged as a formal organization in the late 19th century under the efforts of Papists, Dr. Gerard and Coss, who revived and organized the teachings of St. Martin into a structured initiatory system. At its core, the Martinist Order focuses on the concept of reintegration, the belief that humanity once existed in perfect harmony with the divine but has since fallen into separation. The goal of Martinist practice is to reunite with this divine source through spiritual purification, self-knowledge, and the cultivation of virtues such as humility, love, and wisdom. This journey of reintegration is seen as both an individual and a collective mission to restore the original unity of creation. The Order's teachings draw heavily on Christian mysticism, Kabbalah, Hermeticism, and alchemical symbolism. Members study sacred texts, engage in meditation, and participate in rituals designed to deepen their connection to the divine and unlock the spiritual potential within. One of the central themes is the belief in an inner master, a divine spark within each individual that serves as a guide on the path to enlightenment. The Martinist Order is structured around a series of degrees, offering initiates a progressive path of spiritual development. These degrees are not merely titles but represent stages of inner transformation, leading the practitioner closer to the ultimate goal of reintegration. Unlike some other esoteric orders, Martinism places a strong emphasis on humility and service, encouraging members to apply their spiritual insights for the benefit of others and the world at large. The order has had various branches and offshoots over time, each preserving the essence of Martinist teachings while adapting to different cultural and spiritual contexts. The Builders of the Adytum. This is a modern mystical order dedicated to the study and practice of esoteric teachings, particularly focusing on tarot, Kabbalah, and spiritual alchemy. Founded in the early 20th century by Dr. Paul Foster Case, a renowned scholar and mystic, O.T.O seeks to provide a structured path for spiritual seekers to deepen their understanding of universal truths and unlock their full inner potential. The word Adytum refers to the innermost sanctuary of a temple, symbolizing the sacred space within each individual where divine truth resides. The organization's mission is to help individuals build this inner sanctuary through disciplined study and practical application of mystical principles. O.T.O teaches that through self-awareness and connection to higher consciousness, individuals can achieve spiritual enlightenment. One of the central tools in their teachings is the tarot, viewed not merely as a tool for divination but as a visual representation of universal archetypes and spiritual principles. Members are guided to study the symbolic meanings of the tarot cards and use them as a means of self-discovery and meditation. The tarot serves as a bridge between the conscious and subconscious mind, helping practitioners uncover hidden truths and align with their higher purpose. O.T.O also emphasizes the study of the Kabbalah, a mystical tradition rooted in ancient Jewish teachings that explores the relationship between the divine and creation. Central to this study is the Tree of Life, a symbolic diagram that maps the spiritual journey from the material world to divine unity. By meditating on the Tree of Life and its pathways, members can gain insights into the nature of existence and their role in the greater cosmic order. The Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. This was a mystical and occult organization active in the late 19th century, known for its focus on practical occultism and spiritual development. Unlike many other esoteric orders of its time, which often emphasized philosophical or theoretical teachings, the Brotherhood of Luxor distinguished itself by providing its members with direct, hands-on instruction in the art of ritual magic, meditation, and psychic development. The origins of the Brotherhood are somewhat mysterious, with conflicting accounts about its founders and early history. It is believed to have been inspired by the Hermetic and Egyptian mystical traditions, blending elements of Western esotericism, Kabbalah, and Eastern spiritual practices. The Brotherhood's teachings were deeply rooted in the principles of Hermeticism, which emphasized the interconnectedness of the material and spiritual worlds and the power of human will to transcend limitations. The Brotherhood structured its teachings through a system of initiation and correspondence courses. Members received detailed instructions on a wide range of esoteric topics, including astral projection, telepathy, alchemy, and the development of psychic abilities. The goal was to provide practical tools that would enable individuals to achieve self-mastery, align with cosmic laws, and access higher states of consciousness. Central to the Brotherhood's philosophy was the belief in the divine potential of humanity. Members were taught that by purifying the mind and body, cultivating discipline, and practicing specific rituals, they could awaken their inner divinity and become co-creators with the universe. The organization also emphasized the moral responsibility that came with these powers, urging members to use their knowledge for the benefit of humanity. The Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor was part of a broader movement during the late 19th century that sought to revive ancient wisdom and adapt it to modern spiritual seekers. It shared some connections with other esoteric orders of the time, such as the Theosophical Society, though it maintained its distinct focus on practical occult training. While the Brotherhood eventually faded into obscurity by the early 20th century, its influence can still be seen in the practices and teachings of later occult organizations. The ancient and mystical order Rosicrucians. This is a modern mystical organization rooted in the legendary Rosicrucian traditions of the 17th century. Officially founded in the early 20th century by H. Spencer Lewis, A.M.O.R.C revives and adapts ancient wisdom for contemporary spiritual seekers, offering structured teachings in philosophy, metaphysics, and practical mysticism. The name Rosicrucians or Rose Cross symbolizes the union of the material and spiritual realms, a core concept in Rosicrucian philosophy, providing tools to explore inner worlds and the mysteries of the cosmos. Its philosophy of cosmic harmony emphasizes living in alignment with universal principles like love, wisdom, and balance, encouraging members to integrate these into daily life for inner peace and personal growth. Meditation, visualization, and symbolic rituals connect members to the mystical knowledge of ancient civilizations, such as Egypt and Greece. With a global presence and inclusive philosophy, A.M.O.R.C continues to guide seekers toward spiritual enlightenment and a deeper understanding of life's mysteries, emphasizing that universal truth is accessible to all. The Vehmic Courts. This is also known as the Vehmic or the Secret Tribunal of Westphalia, were a mysterious judicial organization active in medieval Germany, blending law, mysticism, and secrecy. Established in the 13th century, under the sanction of the Holy Roman Emperor, they maintained order during a time of weak central authority. Over time, their clandestine nature and esoteric rituals gave them a reputation shrouded in fear and intrigue. Operating in secrecy, often at night in forests or castles, members known as free judges concealed their identities with robes and masks. They swore strict oaths of loyalty and silence, acting as both prosecutors and executioners. Their swift, often severe justice included punishments like hanging, with symbols such as a dagger or gallows left as warnings. The Vehmic Courts covered offenses from theft and murder to heresy and moral corruption. They claimed divine authority, asserting their judgments were guided by God's will. Mystical and symbolic elements, along with initiation rituals, added an air of the occult to their operations. By the 16th century, the court's influence declined with the rise of centralized governments, though their legacy endured in folklore and literature. Often portrayed as shadowy entities, they remain a fascinating blend of justice, fear, and mysticism. The Temple of Black Light. The Temple of Black Light is a spiritual group that draws on the Chaos Gnostic current, a tradition that combines elements of Gnosticism, theistic Satanism, and chaos magic. It traces its origins to a Swedish occult order initially known as the Misanthropic Luciferian Order. This group was founded in the mid-1990s by individuals deeply involved in esotericism, the left-hand path, and anti-cosmic traditions. While the specific founding members' names are often kept deliberately obscured to maintain the group's mystique, key figures like John Notfit, the late frontman of the black metal band Dissection, played a significant role in popularizing its ideas. John, along with other prominent members, helped intertwine the group's teachings with the black metal scene, particularly through Dissection's later works, such as the album Raincows. This album is heavily inspired by the group's philosophies and features lyrical themes rooted in anti-cosmic Satanism. At its core is the belief that the universe is a flawed creation of a malevolent force known as the Demiurge. Unlike mainstream religions which emphasize cosmic order, the temple venerates chaos as the ultimate reality and seeks liberation from the material world. Central to their teachings are anti-cosmic deities, figures like Satan, Lilith, and Leviathan, symbols of rebellion against the oppressive forces of creation. These entities, along with the concept of Azaret, or the 11 anti-cosmic powers, form the cornerstone of their mythology. The temple's ethos is clear: break free from societal norms, embrace spiritual rebellion, and strive for self-deification. In their view, the path to enlightenment isn't about conforming to universal laws, it's about mastering chaos and becoming an autonomous, liberated being. But with such radical ideas comes controversy. The Temple of Black Light has faced criticism from religious and cultural institutions, often being misunderstood as purely destructive or nihilistic. However, its followers argue that their practices are deeply empowering and rooted in personal spiritual freedom. The Joy of Satan. founded in the early 2000s by Maxine Dietrich, is a group that combines Satanism, occult practices, and neo-pagan beliefs. It promotes spiritual Satanism, where Satan is viewed as a benevolent deity and a bringer of knowledge rather than an evil figure. The group heavily criticizes Abrahamic religions like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, claiming they are tools of control. The Joy of Satan encourages practices like meditation, energy work, and crazy rituals like ones where they dedicate their soul to Satan, lighting candles with symbolic gestures like signing their names in blood, summoning demons, and even hexes and curses for different reasons to achieve spiritual empowerment. Additionally, they equate Satan with ancient deities like Enki from Sumerian mythology, arguing these gods were demonized by mainstream religions. However, the group is surrounded by controversy. It has been linked to neo-Nazi and anti-Semitic ideologies, which have drawn significant backlash. Critics also point out historical inaccuracies in their claims about ancient gods and occult practices. Some former members have accused the group of cult-like behavior, including manipulation and control. The Satanic Temple. This is a modern, non-theistic religious organization founded in 2013 by Lucian Greaves and Malcolm Jerry. Unlike traditional depictions of Satanism, the Satanic Temple does not worship Satan as a deity or supernatural being. Instead, they use Satan as a symbol of rebellion, free thought, and opposition to oppressive authority. Their philosophy is guided by the 7 tenets, which emphasize compassion, justice, bodily autonomy, and the pursuit of knowledge. The Satanic Temple advocates for the separation of church and state, using activism and legal challenges to promote secularism. For example, they've pushed for equal representation of religious symbols in public spaces, fought against restrictive abortion laws as part of bodily autonomy, and opposed religious indoctrination in public schools. One of their most recognizable symbols is the Baphomet statue, representing balance and free thought. While they use rituals, these are symbolic and focus on personal empowerment rather than supernatural beliefs. With chapters around the world, the Satanic Temple has become a major voice in modern debates about religious freedom and secularism, proving that their provocative approach is both impactful and thought-provoking. The Church of Satan. The Church of Satan was founded in 1966 by Anton LaVey in San Francisco as the first organized religious group to identify with Satanism. But don't be misled by the name. It's not about devil worship. Instead, the Church of Satan embraces atheistic Satanism, using Satan as a symbol of human freedom, individuality, and rebellion against arbitrary authority. At its core, the Church of Satan promotes LaVeyan Satanism, a philosophy that rejects belief in the supernatural. It's all about living authentically, embracing one's desires, and being unapologetically yourself. The guiding principles of the Church of Satan are laid out in the Satanic Bible, written by LaVey in 1969. This text outlines their beliefs, rituals, and ethical framework. The philosophy emphasizes indulgence over abstinence, personal responsibility, and treating others with fairness, provided they treat you the same. Their rituals are symbolic, designed more for psychological empowerment than supernatural effects. Despite its focus on individualism, the Church of Satan has faced significant controversy. It's been widely misunderstood, often accused of devil worship, black magic, or worse, especially during the satanic panic of the 1980s and 1990s. It's also distinct from other satanic groups, such as the Satanic Temple, which focuses on activism and social justice. The Church of Satan, by contrast, is purely philosophical, emphasizing personal empowerment over collective movements. The Order of 9 Angles. This is one of the most secretive and controversial satanic organizations in the world. The O9A focuses on extreme esotericism, transgression, and personal transformation through what they call the sinister path. But their philosophy doesn't just challenge traditional norms, it openly advocates for acts of violence and destruction, sparking widespread condemnation. Originating in the United Kingdom in the late 1960s or early 1970s, the O9A blends elements of Satanism, paganism, and occult traditions into its unique worldview. For them, Satan isn't a deity but a force of chaos and rebellion, a symbol of breaking free from the cosmic order. At the heart of their beliefs is the Sevenfold Way, a long-term path of self-development. This includes physical challenges, studying ancient esoteric texts, and engaging in rituals that test the boundaries of morality and endurance. But what makes the O9A particularly infamous is their embrace of violent and morally transgressive acts as part of spiritual growth. Members are encouraged to carry out actions that intentionally harm others or destabilize society, under the justification of advancing their own transformation. Allegedly, the O9A instructs members to carry out human sacrifices under specific circumstances. Victims, referred to as offers, are chosen based on the belief that they are unworthy or detrimental to society. These sacrifices are framed as both a spiritual and moral test for the practitioner. Members are also encouraged to commit illegal acts such as theft, assault, or vandalism, with the aim of rejecting societal laws and proving their commitment to the sinister path. Critics accused the group of inspiring acts of terrorism and promoting neo-Nazi ideology. The Temple of Set. This is one of the most notable and esoteric satanic organizations, founded in 1975 by Michael Aquino after splitting from the Church of Satan. Unlike its predecessor, the Temple of Set focuses on the worship of Set, an ancient Egyptian deity symbolizing individualism, self-awareness, and spiritual transformation. At the heart of their philosophy is the concept of Zephyr, which means to become. Members believe in striving for personal evolution and self-deification, seeing themselves as creators of their own reality. Set is not just a symbol, but a real metaphysical entity that guides followers toward their ultimate potential. The Temple of Set practices a deeply intellectual and mystical approach. Their rituals are designed for personal empowerment, spiritual growth, and forging a connection with the essence of Set. Unlike the Church of Satan's focus on carnal indulgence, the temple delves into metaphysical exploration and mastery. The Black Order. This is one of the most mysterious and controversial groups within the occult world. Known for blending Satanism, paganism, and nihilistic philosophy, it focuses on individual empowerment, spiritual transformation, and the rejection of societal norms. At the core of the Black Order's beliefs is the idea of self-deification, the pursuit of becoming godlike through strength, rebellion, and chaos. They draw inspiration from ancient pagan traditions and occult practices, merging these with modern ideas to create a path that's as radical as it is esoteric. Their practices include rituals designed to channel dark energies, invoke personal transformation, and deliberately break moral and societal boundaries.